Is that it?
Oh, no.
Ah, good.
You also get this leather-bound set of encyclopedias.
Greetings, fellow mortals. Just a reminder, saying it's just my opinion is for cowards. 2 years ago, when I talked about the first season of Batman Caped Crusader, I was probably excessively kind to it. Probably because I binged it all the night it came out while my wife was out climbing. BTW, not my sport. My feet need to be firmly planted on the ground at all times. Anyway, when I talked about Caped Crusader, I enjoyed the vibes, the music, the nostalgia, the embrace of the occult, and the references, while having complaints about the world building, the characterization, and the idea that this show didn't know if it wanted to be about Batman or the GCPD. And to be fair to my excessive kindness, I was in a big bourbon drinking phase back then. So my opinion possibly could have been a lot softer than it should have been. As such, I went into season 2 of Caped Crusader completely sober. And I have to say that this was actually about the same level for me. Well, maybe a little bit better for the second season overall. The writers definitely saw the feedback that this Batman show didn't exactly seem to be about Batman a lot of the time, and they decided to course correct for the most part. Basically taking away the agency and necessity of most of the other characters outside of being sources of information for Batman, or goals for other characters with far more agency and say in the plot. But, and there is a but, the writers at least listened to the feedback, so I have to give them that.
Oh, I forgot how bad it looks.
I've seen worse.
The things that I liked about the original season are still there in season 2. The overall aesthetics are a nice change of pace. Seeing Gotham in the 40s/50s brings a nostalgia lens to the city. There aren't overly flashing lights and neon all over the place. Cars are simple and classic. Technology is limited, forcing Batman to do more basic detective work, and buildings are allowed to look newer and cleaner because they are newer and cleaner than what they would be today. There are also the clothes, the uniforms, and the costumes, which makes everything stand out and feel unique. If I saw any sort of fan art from Caped Crusader, I would instantly be able to identify which series the image was based upon. Thus, in that sense, this show has a very distinct identity, and I love that about it.
I've looked at this for 5 hours now.
This is helped by the noir themes, the linguistic style of the time, and the smooth jazz constantly playing in the background. And let me tell you, I am a sucker for all of these. Add in a similar art direction and style to Batman the Animated Series, and my withered little Grinch heart actually feels nostalgia at all this. A part of my brain just likes this naturally, like I'm being transported to a different time. All the while still tasting the bourbon on my tongue without ever taking a sip due to the association in my brain. In terms of mood, vibes, and aesthetics, this was certainly made for people like me, even if I don't particularly actually want to go back in time towards that period. I simply love period pieces, old noir films, and jazz. Couldn't ask for more in terms of that.
Just hook it to my veins!
But that leads to the problems which carry over from the first season. There's a reason I wouldn't actually want to go back in time to that period besides the fact that I'm spoiled by modern technology. You know, the racism, sexism, and homophobia were pretty bad back then. Not that you would know that at all watching this show. Caped Crusader is so distinctively and purposely racially diverse that it's a little noticeable considering the time period, along with the women in positions of power in medicine and in STEM in general. Nothing I have a problem with, of course. I mean, I'm not an idiot, but the raw intentionality of these choices during this time period is a little distracting, considering that all of this is set in the Jim Crow era. It just leads to things not making sense overall in terms of being a period piece, especially considering that there were at least 3 different times that real world events were brought up.
I'm just saying.
Now, you might be thinking, love of storytelling, you want characters to be ignorant and closed-minded? Dear viewer, once again, this is set before the Jim Crow era ended. Either go all in on the fact that this is an alternate timeline or be consistent with the era, like all the various meticulous details that they put in for the aesthetics. They aren't outright tipping the scale one way or the other, leading to this awkward middle ground which hurts the setting of the show and just makes everything seem like window dressing. Especially because they're using the black versions of the Gordons and are repeatedly gender-swapping female villains. There could be a wider range of interesting stories and themes of overcoming discrimination and adversity if the writers had decided to stop fence sitting, actually making the most of these changes and creative decisions instead of having them feel completely and utterly random, along with a little lame for not reaching their full potential.
I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong.
The same thing could be said for the adult situations of the show itself. I like the fact that this show heavily embraces the idea that it is TV-14, that it can imply intercourse, that it can show guns being fired, and it can reference drugs, that people can be killed in violent and horrific ways on screen, especially with how horrendous the effects of the Joker gas are shown to be. Cape Crusader doesn't shy away from men being attracted to women, one character even using her attractiveness as an actual femme fatale to her advantage. There's gore, spatters of blood, and characters outright die on screen all the time. It does feel like a more adult version of Batman, where the villains are outright killers and sociopaths.
I liked it.
At the same time, Batman isn't allowed to up the violence either in return. I'm not saying that he needs to be a killer like in the Absolute Universe or to brand people like in the Snyderverse, but I don't understand why he allows people to get back up and shoot at him so many times. Like with the time period problems of discrimination, it feels as though the writers are hesitant to make the audience feel too bad or awkward about the people that they're watching. They don't want you to question what Batman is doing morally or ethically, all the while making him so cold that he continues to call Alfred by Pennyworth through 99% of their interactions. Yet he won't simply break Rupert Thorne's legs and leave him in a bloody mess when it's clear that that guy's going to get out of the trial scot-free. Oh, and spoilers ahead, by the way, you have been warned. Still here? Good. The entire time, I didn't understand why Batman didn't simply hunt down the Riddler, who was being extremely loud and boisterous and easy to track, and break every single bone in Edward Nygma's body so that he'll stop randomly gunning down civilians. It would honestly be the moral thing to do in this situation. At the same time, this version of Batman will repeatedly ram his car into monsters to stop them. I'm serious here. Have him break bones, knock out teeth, tear muscles, stop these people who keep shooting innocent civilians. It's like they've taken Batman the animated series Batman and just dropped him into this with no changes whatsoever. Meanwhile, this version of Bruce Wayne is so cold and stoic that it's close to impossible to get a read on him most of the time.
I have strongly mixed feelings.
The absolute control that this Batman has makes Montoya's reluctance to work with him odd, considering that she does something far more morally reprehensible than him throughout the entire season, along with Joker's jump that Batman, who barely hurts anyone throughout the entire season, is anything like him. It's all a little weird. Criminals aren't really afraid of Batman in this, yet the police officially remain hesitant to accept him as an ally. Same thing with the public. This middle ground doesn't feel appropriate for the characterization that they're trying to tell. A Batman who is far more violent and closer to the edge of crossing the line would feel more appropriate, considering that he has no friends or connections outside of Alfred, and that barely counts in this show. Once again, they're getting in their own way, refusing to allow this premise to reach its full potential because of fear over the idea of making people uncomfortable or getting out of their own comfort zone.
It's a travesty of a mockery of a sham, of a mockery of a travesty of two mockeries of a sham.
The same criticism could be made for the other characters. Jim Gordon is a commissioner of the police force, which still is filled with corrupt officers. How does this shape his struggle? It really doesn't overall. Barbara is a public defender. Does the show put her in a situation where she must defend a villain who is clearly evil and will kill again, putting them back on the streets because the police messed up by breaking her client's rights, or because the Batman went too far? No, this doesn't happen at all. Montoya is a police officer in love with and harboring a fugitive. Does this influence her more than 2 minutes in the show? No, not really. You see the overarching problem here, right? The ideas are interesting, but they aren't executed to their fullest potential. Caped Crusader settles for safe and good rather than ambitious and great at almost every single possible turn.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
You could even extend this to the villains. Okay. You turned the Mad Hatter into a woman and gave her a television/radio show. How does this drastically alter her character? And what way does she try to mind control people than through just being a really bad generic journalist? Well, that doesn't happen at all. She's basically just another corrupt host that's under Thorne's thumb and is only Mad Hatter in name only. Okay, Edward Nygma is a psychotic gangster filling the power void left by his boss. But he's literally just a crazed egomaniac without any interest in puzzles or clues or intelligence or anything like that, making him the Riddler in name only. How is Mr. Freeze, aka Mr. Zero, anything like his various counterparts other than that he freezes people? Well, he isn't. In fact, his crazed desire to make art out of dead bodies reminds me more of Professor Pig than Mr. Freeze. You see what I mean here? None of these adaptations are better than any other version of them in any other media.
Okay, but that's worse. I mean, you do get how that's worse.
This is especially true for Harley Quinn. This is by far the single most boring version of her I've ever seen. I kind of feel a little bit for her love story with Montoya, but not really because they didn't put in the work to write it all that well. And also because I don't understand her as a character. She's kind of obsessed with psychoanalyzing criminals, civilians, and the Batman, but not really. She can turn it off basically whenever she wants to. I thought she just wanted to eat the rich in the first season, but then she just holds up in Montoya's apartment before exiting nonchalantly. And while I do enjoy Harley Quinn and Batman banter, this isn't exactly a hard case to solve where Batman would require her help in any conceivable way. Oh, these victims are connected very obviously. Might want to keep an eye on the survivors. Boom. You could easily track down Scarecrow. I don't know, it's not that hard. It really could have been done in 5 minutes. This was the easiest case that Batman ever received in this show. The problem is that if you renamed this version of Harley Quinn to Roberta Mines and called her the therapist, I don't think that I would even realize that this was originally Harley Quinn. Just like with the Mad Hatter, the Riddler, and Mr. Freeze.
I don't even know who you are.
It's actually lesser known adaptations and more original stories from Caped Crusader which are the most interesting aspect of it. Dr. Sutton, the Barbatos cult, Mark Desmond, and Thorne. My god, Thorne. I was so glad that we received an adaptation of Rose Force that was actually good and well done and used her split personality and her femme fatale status to good use. She's probably the most underrated and underutilized DC comic character with all the potential in the world. And she had one of my favorite episodes in the season, even if it suffered from the problem of wasted potential as well. Oh, and I'll add Carrie Kelly, the most underappreciated Robin, to the mix. All of these details were my favorite aspects of the season, which had the best adaptations, and they were probably the least known overall. Almost like the writers didn't need to compensate for the fact that they knew that they weren't going to have the best adaptations of the Riddler, of the Joker, and others.
Coincidence? I think not!
But to break down the show beat by beat, let's start by going through the individual episodes. Originally, the show starts with the main characters trying to protect this version of Calendar Man, who functions as a mob boss's accountant, which is a real aspect of crime lords being taken down in the past and a good adaptation of Calendar Man and his skill set. I mean, bad finances, accounting, and tax evasion can get you. It's fine if you kill, bribe, and extort people. But God help you if you don't pay your taxes on time and accurately. The IRS and the USPS are the only feds which don't mess around at all.
Where's my money? Where's my money? Yeah, you got money to pay for fake mustaches, huh?
In order to kill Calendar Man before he can testify, Thorne's number 2, the Riddler, tries to silence him. Except Edward Nygma is a violent idiot who can't plan his way out of a paper bag. He just throws bullets, explosives, and men at every single problem, including a man given venom? Solomon Grundy's serum, whatever. Anyways, this leads to the first big misstep of the season. Why is this the Riddler instead of the ventriloquist who is cracking under the pressure without his boss and making a puppet of Thorne in order to compensate for the fact that he's a yes man who's only at his rank because he does exactly what his boss tells him to do? Wouldn't watching his mental breakdown and degradation over the course of the season be more interesting than the Riddler who acts more like the Joker? Wouldn't it explain why Batman is reluctant to simply break a mentally ill man's jaw? I'm just saying. While Batman does keep Calendar Man safe by repeatedly ramming Solomon Grundy with his car, Thorne is still acquitted because of a corrupt judge. Only for Thorne to be immediately killed by the Joker in order to create a power vacuum and cause chaos throughout the city, which was a good end to the episode, I do have to admit that. Only to be followed immediately by an episode which annoyed me at the start, admittedly, because I immediately got the impression that it was a nuclear power is bad story. And if you don't know, defending the advancement of nuclear power is the only political statement I ever really make on this channel. I despise when terrible, stupid writers slander nuclear power when they don't know anything about it.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
But luckily, it's not about that at all. In fact, the stand-in for nuclear power is clean, safe, and stable, causing no problems whatsoever. The scientist in charge of the project faked her own death because the corpos she worked for were going to sell weapons to foreign powers. Everyone even openly acknowledges that the nuclear power stand-in is amazing, including Alfred, who is the voice of reason and the writer's stand-in. But the message is that corpos and feds can't be trusted with too much power and that they will abuse this nuclear power stand-in. And you know what? Fair enough. I have no arguments against that point. I actually really enjoyed this episode by the end, even though I was really annoyed at the start. They really turned it around and I liked it. It's literally just an excellent standalone adventure for Batman, which is a good thing.
No notes?
No notes.
No notes!
No notes.
No notes!
No notes. It's perfect.
This is followed up by Deep Cover. Batman goes undercover as his usual matches Malone persona in order to earn the trust of a Blackgate prisoner that the Riddler's trying to silence, even though Desmond isn't a rat at all and isn't going to say a damn thing. This episode mostly follows their exploits and growing friendship as they survive in prison, the hit attempts, and then the eventual escape. Concluding with Desmond getting shot and Batman feeling attached to the criminal because of the time that they spent together. Another banger episode, with the problem being that once again this storyline would be better by demonstrating the deteriorating mental state of the ventriloquist, as his boss has completely disappeared now and he has to run everything on his own. Thus Scarface gains more and more control, causing more chaos in the city.
Well, hang on, you've just... No, I like it. This is brilliant, but I like this.
In The Devil's Due, a bat-worshipping cult forms, and of course this affects Batman as he's blamed for their actions. The cult even says that he's Barbatos's avatar, and of course it's all a sham, which is a fun twist when supernatural elements are accepted in this world. I also liked Midnight's interaction with Batman and the implication that he was going to have a threesome with that couple, which was funny, but I feel like there could have been more tension with Batman feeling somewhat responsible for the cult and being blamed by people even if it wasn't actually his fault. But I did like the hint at the end that the cult might continue by actively worshipping Batman in future episodes after the truth came to light. Good episode that could have been better with a deeper dive into Batman's thoughts on the matter.
I don't know.
The Spectral Hand is actually a fun episode. where Jim Corrigan, a corrupt cop from the first season, agrees to undergo an experiment in order to get a lighter sentence. The process kills him but brings him back to life as a vengeful zombie who goes after criminals who got away from him during his time as a cop. And after fighting Batman a bit, he makes his way to Barbara Gordon, who made the stupid decision to stand off against an undead, unstoppable monster alone, and then he drops to his knees and begs for forgiveness before passing on to the next life in the middle of the road. I know I keep saying it, but it was a good episode which could have been even better if they did a deeper dive into Batman's desire to live forever in order to fight crime. They keep doing a lot of teases towards Bruce's psyche, but never actually doing a deep dive, and it gets frustrating after a time.
But wait! There's more!
Episode 6 is Sudden Fear, which you can guess is the Scarecrow episode, which was rather predictable overall. I literally guessed the twists as soon as the characters were revealed, and this is where Harley Quinn returned. And this is my least favorite episode in the bunch, mostly because I struggled to understand this version of Harley and wasn't attached to whatever was going on with this version of the Scarecrow. It was painfully mid. I only really liked two aspects of it: how Bruce acts so insufferable and selfish that no one who works for him or in the GCPD as a whole even suspect that he's Batman. That part was funny. It was a good detail, and I thought that Harley and Montoya had decent chemistry overall as a couple. I just wish that they explored the relationship more with a single full episode dedicated to it, why Montoya broke the rules and how it strained their relationship. Instead, we got this just okay relationship. Once again, the Harley Quinn episode was the weakest of the season.
Well, this sucks.
Her Dark Reflection is the episode where I have the most conflicted feelings. On one hand, I loved Rose Force being used as Thorn and her actually using her attractiveness in her scheme, tricking the Riddler into falling for her and betraying him at the end when she finally had him alone and vulnerable. It also made the fact that she spared Batman on purpose make a whole lot more sense in retrospect. But I will still argue that the ventriloquist would have been a better option for this storyline. Maybe have Thorn actually gain romantic feelings for Arnold Wesker, but still hate Scarface. Feeling sympathy and attachment to the man, but not the dummy, she instead completes her revenge by destroying the Scarface doll itself. Still leaving a power void in Gotham as Wesker just sobs uncontrollably and doesn't know what to do and runs away or gets arrested, but also allowing Arnold to come back for future episodes to further explore a twisted love story between two people with split personalities.
This is better.
And then the Carrie Kelly episode, where we basically follow her exploits as she tries to be a hero like Batman, on a kid level, even saving him at one point and helping him defeat Mr. Freeze. I actually loved everything that she did here. Her exploits were fun to watch, and she was actually the first person who Batman actually wanted to thank and wanted to bond with in any conceivable way. The only problem was that this version of Mr. Freeze was super duper boring. And yes, that is the technical term, super duper boring. I argue that they should have brought in Professor Pig, who, ironically enough, refused to squeal to Batman, laughing maniacally as Batman tries to beat the answers out of him, demonstrating that Batman is slowly losing control over his emotions due to the stress of Joker in the background, which is shown over and over and over again in basically every single episode. Just saying, that would have been better. It would have went from good to great.
Stop! He's already dead!
And then finally, the Joker episodes. Actually, I really like these overall. They were built up extremely well over the course of the season, and this was a very Joker-esque scheme, using dead bodies to release Joker gas and turn the populace into laughing monsters. Seeing him watch and scheme in the background over the course of the season made the payoff of the twist and the final confrontation very good. I had some problems with Batman randomly trying to kill the Joker without the proper build-up through his escalating violence. I also would have liked if Joker, laughed or told jokes at all, but I still thought the payoff for the overarching story was better than anything else in the season. Although I did laugh at the end when Barbara and Montoya acted like they did anything at all which actually contributed to the day being saved. They just prevented the toxin from spreading a little bit more before Alfred swooped down to spread the antidote over the entire city. They literally did nothing to contribute to the end. It would have been the exact same thing, the exact same conclusion if they weren't involved. What the writer should have done is spent more time with the Joker and the Batman and establishing their relationship.
My work here is done.
And as you can tell by my descriptions, the episodes were good, not great. That's the problem. The lack of ambition, creativity, and passion held Caped Crusader back. I liked it, but I know that I'll struggle to remember anything if another season comes out. Just like with season 1, I had to go back and watch the first season again because I forgot what happened. Everything is just okay to good, from the characters, to the setting, to the plot, and even to the voice acting, which had everyone unbelievably calm voice no matter what happened or if they were supposed to be freaking out. It was just all slightly above average. Good, a fun time, but disappointing and frustrating when you see what it could have been.
Disappointed!
If you want to understand exactly what I mean, it has to do with the fact that I can come up with dozens of ideas that I think are better than what was executed here. Just like with Scarface, just do something different, something original, something out there. Have an outraged Firefly try to burn down everything because he's discontent at the speed at which Batman and Gordon are cleaning up the city and stopping gang violence. Have the Riddler do Jigsaw-like puzzle rooms in order to weed out those he views as less intelligent and thus less worthy to live in his eyes. Have Killer Croc be targeted as a suspect in many crimes, even though he's an innocent man who's getting profiled simply because of his appearance. Just like in the new Lego Batman game, and I mean, you see what I'm saying here, right? When Lego Batman, of all things, does a more creative storyline than you in any way, then you might be playing it a bit too safe.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Overall, I liked Caped Crusader. I would recommend it if you like Batman, but the lack of pushing any sort of boundaries really bothered me. It might be the Batman with the most wasted potential. Say what you want about Beware the Batman, and yes, I'm one of the 2 people in the world who remembers that show, but at least tried something different featuring characters that you didn't normally see. And despite my conflicted feelings with the absolute universe as a whole, it's also trying to be unique and different, and I've grown to appreciate it a bit more because of that. It's not my favorite ever, but I can see why people like it. I respect them trying to be creative and trying to do something different, and I'll remember that as a whole a lot more than a show which played its cards a bit too close to the chest. It should have tried to be just a little bit more, a little bit extra, a little bit more out there, instead of just a lesser version of Batman the Animated Series. But what do you think? Did you see Batman Caped Crusader Season 2? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you agree with me? Did you think that it was perfectly fine and that I'm just complaining for no reason? Please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, if you disagree with everything I have to say, that is perfectly fine. After all, everyone is entitled to their objectively wrong opinion.
I mean, it's alright, like...
Thank you all so much for watching.
You're still here?
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, bye, boom.
Do not despair.